Alright guys, welcome to another day on 98L. I'm going to have an update on 97L right after this one, so do be sure to subscribe to see that one. I just can't fit all of this in one good video. So, anyways guys, so right now we're just going to be focusing on 98L, and if you want to see about 97L, which is the yellow here, go check out my other video, and it'll be up in like 15 minutes after actually after uploading this video. So, 98L, it has an 80% of forming in the next 48 hours and a 90% of forming in the next 5 days. So National Park is everything. It could form here, it could form here, it could form right here, it could form anywhere in this cone, I guess, of uncertainty. But they're also saying it could track all the way north here, or they could track all the way down to here. You know? So this is really a system that we're going to be seeing probably becoming a tropical depression in the next 48 hours and a tropical storm in the next couple of days. So really, we're going to have to seize this. It is likely to become Laura before 97L, though. And also, we've seen this cone shift more to the north, which does bring a bigger threat to Florida and potentially parts of the East Coast, as this would mean that it has less of a chance of moving through like this, but rather more like this. So, that is something to consider, or a little bit like this or something. So that is something to consider, or also like this. So, but it looks like this is really going to be a threat mostly to this area. So really, this is the square we're looking at for potential impacts from this system. We could really extend all the way to Texas, but that's getting more and more likely at this point. At this point in time, here's what the system's looking like here. From misconceptions, this is not 98L here. The low pressure of 98L is right here. Okay. So misconceptions cleared out. National Hurricane Center said it was right here. So it was connecting, but now it seems to be splitting apart once again. But it looks like maybe the upper or the low level center is right here somewhere, because I do see some rotation to it. So either they got where the low pressure is wrong and it has moved, significantly more, or we have a display center where the low level or the mid level center is, displaced from the upper level center. So that is a possibility there, but it does look like you can clearly see that spin here to it. So it does look like the low the low pressure center might be more here than might be more towards that first blob of convection that they expected. But right now, we're just going to say it's right there because that's what the National Hurricane Center thinks. But it was connecting up here in the north, and what we really need is this to connect on both sides to become a tropical depression. But as we can see, it has completely disconnected. It has completely disconnected here on the north side of it, and also it was trying to connect here, and that has also completely disconnected here on the southern side of it. So really, either this does become the low pressure system and we get maybe a tropical depression, tropical storm, or we really need this to get very much more better organized and connect with the second blob of convection. So here's a look at the intensity guidance for 98L, and as we can clearly see, every single model almost brings it to a tropical storm in the next 24 hours. And a couple of them bring it in the next 12 hours. But it looks like pretty much every single one of them brings it into 24 hours. So by tomorrow at maybe 6 p.m. or 5 p.m., we could be getting tropical storm Laura from this. But the overall consensus of the model is a tropical storm having a little bit of a drop off and then maybe strengthening once again. It's kind of the overall of the model. Personally, I think they're strengthening way more than this and becoming, something, a major system, at least a Category 1 hurricane with this. But we'll see how it's going to go. But every single model does agree with this becoming tropical storm Laura, at least, which is at least some agreement. Okay, here's a look at the models for the track, and this is the intensity is a little bit more uncertain, but the track is getting a little bit more certain. So overall, the cone for the system here, if let's say it was to be Laura and the National Hurricane Center were to make a cone, it would look a little bit like this at the moment. So we can see that most models do bring it towards the Leeward Islands there, or the Virgin Islands. My bad. They do bring it towards the Virgin Islands and then over Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic here, which would weaken this system pretty significantly, and even over Cuba. But again, this could shift, and the National Hurricane Center is showing this shifting more towards a northerly track, and we can see that most models are starting to take it more into a northerly track with this. Which could show this potentially happening. But right now, again, the models bring it maybe towards Louisiana, one towards off the coast of Florida, one on the west coast of Florida. But it looks like an Irma track could be likely. So if you guys remember, Irma went like this, guys. It went like this. So that's pretty much an Irma track right there. The models do pretty much bring it to an Irma track. So we're really gonna have to pay out for this. Here's a look at the GFS model, and again, says the same thing. It is a little bit split. Couple models bring it out to sea, couple models bring it into the Gulf. But overall, still the consensus is an Irma track right north of all of the Caribbean, and then moving into pretty much the spine of Florida, a little bit like Irma did, and then maybe coming out to sea. So we're really gonna have to pay attention for this because this could be a pretty major system. But again, couple models here bring it into the Gulf. Couple models here bring it out to sea. But out to sea seems to be a little bit unlikely because we do have this very large and strong upper high pressure which extends out all the way to here. So it depends if it gets weaker or moves more to the east. But other than that, it's really gonna have trouble to move out to sea like some of the models here are showing with this very big high pressure there in place. And we also have that high pressure in the Western Gulf, which is going to be complicating this matter even more. Well, let's have a look at the models here. So the 98L right now located right here. You can clearly see it here. And then this is, by the way, 97L here. Doesn't even have a low pressure center quite yet. But as we get into the next couple of days, it does show some strengthening occurring, but staying around the same at the same intensity or at the same millibar. It does get a close center of circulation. Here's again 97L here. GF is actually storing 97L stronger than 98L at that time. So we'll see if that ends up being true. But as we get into the next couple of days, believe it or not, GFS shows 98L re-becoming an open wave, and I personally do not see this whatsoever, but they do show 97L thriving a whole lot more. And personally, I don't think the GFS consensus of this will happen whatsoever. I really don't see 98L falling apart. So that's really my take on this. Now, let's have a look at the CMC, which has been a very good model this season. It has shown this very consistent, actually been better than the GFS a little bit. The GFS has seemed to be a little bit off on this long tracking storms. So, I honestly, this season CMC is one of my favorite models. But CMC, by this time, both models around the same intensity there, which is very possible. Then, as the stakes attract north of Puerto Rico, we see that 98L does become a whole lot stronger, potentially a hurricane there, where we get a strengthening as a 972 potentially major hurricane category 2 or 3 here. 972, oh, what did I do? 972, believe it or not, guys, that is a major system here, right the southern tip of Florida there. And that is really crazy to even think about it. And then it does pass pretty much right over Miami there. Passes over Miami, and then makes a second weaker landfall in Louisiana. So that is crazy. By the way, it does also make a tropical storm landfall from 97L in Mexico, which is also likely. But believe it or not, we actually get this as a very strong hurricane passing right south here uh, Florida, if not onto Florida, if we change this to, let's see here, if we change it to eastern U.S. or southeast U.S., we get this pretty much the eye of the system. If this followed the track exactly, would be pretty much right south of Florida. They're almost onto Florida with those, hurricane force winds, gusts at least extending pretty far out of the center, and that would be one of the worst track scenarios, really. Or even if it curves out there, that would also be extremely bad. But even this, curving out here, the CMC here shows, oops, I just opened my Gmail. The CMC here shows this curving out a little bit like this, and that is really one of the worst scenario we could get, because not only does this impact Louisiana but also Florida as a pretty major system there, and that would really be bad. It does weaken pretty significantly there, but that would be really, why do I keep click on things? Sorry. That would be really one of the worst scenario to happen for this system. Really, really one of the worst scenarios here. So let's quickly look at. So we just looked at. Oh my god. We just looked at the GFS here, or the CMC, and why do I keep clicking on current storms? I'm so sorry, guys. Let's quickly look at the icon here for some more guidance with this system. So, icon, if it'll load, of course, it does keep it as an open wave for quite a while, but in around 66 hours, it does get a closed low center. Why is it so? And then, let's just go to the end of this. We do get this as a very weak tropical storm heading towards, once again, Florida there. So really, we're going to watch out for this. The GMA actually brings it into the Yucatan Peninsula. Very odd track, I guess, but it actually brings it a little bit like this into the Yucatan Peninsula, which still isn't at a question, but that means this high pressure would be a whole lot stronger than expected, which is still a possibility for this to happen, but a little bit of a more, let's just say, unlikely scenario with this system. And then very quickly, the WW3 here. It does. Oh, where does it bring it? Let's go to 78 hours here. It does bring it. It does bring it here towards. It looks like maybe Florida. It does bring it towards Florida off the coast here. So there's also that potentiality for this. So last off, the European model before we end off this, and European model does show this heading out to sea, which is another potentiality there. Well, thanks for watching. I'll have a 97 update very soon, maybe tomorrow because I might not have time, but